Rico Abreu is the 2025 Highland champion. Brad Sweet announces his retirement from full-time racing, and we recap the season-ending banquet all on this week's episode of the Highland Room. All right, this week we recap Texas Motor Speedway for the final two races of 2025 with Highland Racing, and later on in the show we'll be joined by Tony Laporta and Brian Walker to talk about the season-ending banquet, as well as the big announcement from Brad Sweet during that banquet announcing that he will not be full-time next year. For the first time since about 2014, he will not be a full-time sprint car driver, but he still will be part-time. Before we get into that, though, let's recap what happened over in Fort Worth, Texas at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. On Friday night, there were 26 cars signed in for the pit area, and it was Darren Pittman. No surprise there, going quick time overall. Every single time Darren Pittman and the Kreitz Racing 69K team show up to the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track, they are going to be a force, and they were a force all weekend long. 2 second-place finishes on the pole of the feature both nights, but was unable to get a victory. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but the heat race winners on Friday night, Giovanni Scelzi, Deason Pursley, and Cy Lynch, with Pittman winning the dash, as I mentioned earlier, and he was able to also, not only that, but he was able to get the ace in the hole later on in the weekend on Saturday for the final race of the weekend. It's incredible what this guy's able to do with less than 20 races on the season. In the feature event, it was Pittman showing the way very early on in the main event. He would lead the first 12 laps of the feature before Rico Abreu, who was kind of under the pressure. He was under some serious pressure, actually. Going into that night, he was just 9 points ahead of the Ridge & Sons Racing 87 for the owner's title and 28 points ahead of Brad Sweet in the Drivers' Championship as well. But Abreu was able to hold up to that pressure and go around the outside of Darren Pittman and take the win. He would lead from lap number 13 all the way to lap number 25, and really, after that, with the issues for Reitzel, he ended up in sixth, and Brad Sweet ran fourth. Might not sound like too bad of a night there for those two drivers, but Rico, by the time Saturday rolled around, had a 25-point lead on Reitzel and Ridge & Sons Racing, and around a 40-point lead over Brad Sweet as well. So Rico, all he had to do going into Saturday night was finish 10th or better, and he would be the 2025 champion with the series. Friday night's top five, it was Abreu, followed by Pittman, Giovanni Scelzi, Brad Sweet, and Deason Pursley, who ended up being the Rookie of the Year for $5,000 at the banquet. He rounded out the top five on Friday night. And then going into Saturday, your fast time qualifier was Brad Sweet. He ran a 14.013 second lap time to pace the field in that one. The heat race winners went to Sweet, Crockett, and Justin Sanders. Those were the top three, or the three heat race winners, and it was a good weekend for Justin Sanders, once again filling in for Corey Day in the JMR 14. He would go on to run top five in this main event later on in the night, and once again, it was Darren Pittman winning the FK Roddens dash, and he would start on the pole of the feature, but this time he would not lead the race early on like we've seen him do the last three trips to Texas in the month of October. It was Rico Abreu jumping out with the race lead, and if you looked at the box score in this one, you might not think, okay, it was a very exciting race. No, it was a 30-lap race with Rico, Pittman, and Sweet all within about an 8-car length gap of each other almost the entire race as they made their way through lap traffic. And Rico, once again, for $50,000 on the line and that championship riding on this race, he was still able to perform and get the job done in the end and secure the 2025 Highland Racing Championship for the first time in 6 years. We have a new driver at the top as far as not being Brad Sweet. It's been all Brad Sweet for so long. Guys like David Gravel, Carson Macedo, Logan Schuchart, Sheldon Haudenschild, Donnie Schatz, none of those guys have been able to beat Brad Sweet over the last couple of years, but finally that has changed, and Rico Abreu finds himself at the pinnacle of sprint car racing at 33 years old, grabbing that championship on Saturday with a walk-off win, no less, and $50,000. It was Rico's 13th Highland win of the year and his 20th overall in 2025. An incredible season for Rico Abreu, and that team has secured the #1 franchise position going into 2026. The top 5 on Saturday: Rico Abreu, Darren Pittman again finished second, Brad Sweet was third, Justin Sanders fourth, and Giovanni Scelzi completed the top 5. And so another good weekend at Texas Motor Speedway. The Saturday night race was really fast paced. There was a big rainstorm that came in midway through the day. It was the first time it had rained in Texas since September. And of course it happened on the day that, Highland Racing was in town. But Martin Edwards and everybody else involved with the track prep at Texas Motor Speedway nailed it. For a track that does not see a lot of sprint car action throughout the year, it is very impressive what they were able to do with that racing surface with 25, 26, 27 cars in the pit area. I thought the racing surface was absolutely spectacular all weekend long. Already looking forward to getting back to one of the best facilities in all of dirt track racing. That is the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track over there in Fort Worth. Now, we mentioned at the top of the show, if you somehow not seen it and you're living under a rock or you're like Patrick Starr or something, I'm not sure, on Sunday night during the Highland Racing Banquet, it was announced. One of the biggest announcements in sprint car racing over the last couple of years, right up there with Donnie Schatz parting ways with Tony Stewart Racing, along with Rico Abreu teaming up with Tony Stewart Racing. The announcement from Brad Sweet that he will be stepping back from full-time racing action came on Sunday during that Highland Banquet, and it was a surprise, a huge surprise to a lot of people that were there inside that building, a lot of people that were watching at home on FloRacing. Not many people knew that this was coming. And Sweet made it official with a very, very emotional speech with his daughter Savannah right by his side. And we want to show that to you just in case you did miss it on this week's edition of the Highland Room.
All right. First off, I want to congratulate Rico, his team, Ricky, Zach, Brady, David, the whole family, Megan, Gus. It's been a pleasure to compete with you guys this year, and I'm genuinely happy for you guys. I'm proud of you guys for what you were able to accomplish this season. You guys are the definition of teamwork wins championships. So congratulations. I know you'll make Highland proud and representing us as a champion next year. As many of you know, I know this is going to be harder than I thought, but many of you in this room know this was my final full-time season. I'll get it together. I got a speech. I'm gonna get through it, but I don't know why I'm so emotional, but I want to say thank you to the fans. They're the heartbeat of this sport. Every time I rolled into a track and you see I'm sorry. I don't know if I'll be able to get through the whole thing, but the fans, they remind us so much of why we do this. Fighting through the weather and everything. It reminds me of, every night at the end of the night, good, bad, or ugly, the kids coming up. It's why we do it. My wife, you're my rock. You've seen the highs, the lows, the long nights, the heartbreak, the championships, the celebrations. You gave me balance. Couldn't accomplish this without you at all, so thank you so much. Savvy, right here, so much perspective. She's the best. She makes everything better. She gives me so much perspective on life, and really excited for the extra time I'll get to spend with you. Casey, come on over, bud. Casey took a chance on a kid that, was unproven at the time, and I just can't thank him for believing in me, giving me the chance to drive for Casey Kane Racing, pushing me to be better, and being more than a car owner, being a true friend. You helped me chase my dreams that seemed too big at one time. I will cherish our accomplishments, the memories, and our friendship forever. It's been a good ride. my mom and dad, thank you for always supporting me and giving me the opportunities when I was younger to chase all these crazy dreams. Nap Auto Parts, Mike Curb, my team, my crew guys. Over the years, Tate, Andrew, Jared, you all made me look better than I really am. Every late night in the shop, every sponsor commitment, every handshake, every autograph session, every win, every loss. You were right there making it possible through the good nights and the bad nights. The High Limit staff. Having an idea or a vision is one thing, but creating a team to make it a reality is another. I can't thank each and every one of you for believing in this High Limit vision and coming together as a team to truly make a meaningful impact on the sport that we all love so much. This is the best and most passionate team in the business, hands down. And a special shout out to Kendra for this awesome banquet. She's put so much effort into it. Thank you to the team owners, the drivers, the crew members, our sponsors, FloRacing, MedStar, Lori, the chaplains, Eric and Lisa, the promoters, the angel donor, Fangate, all the wives, girlfriends, and families. I can't thank each and every one of you enough for believing in High Limit. I know the grind and sacrifice it takes to compete, and we at High Limit value our partnership very much. And none of this is possible without each and every one of you. Racing has been my whole life. Walking away from driving full time, it's not easy. But I know this. I gave it everything I had, every lap, every season, every championship. This isn't goodbye to racing. It's just the end of a chapter behind the wheel full time. I will still be around supporting this sport we all love and giving back as much as I possibly can to the next generation. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
All right, jumping into the third segment of this week's show as we wrap up the Highland Room in 2025. I have one or two more episodes after this week, but recapping what happened at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track and, of course, what took place at the Banquet on Sunday night as well. Brian Walker, Tony Laporta have joined us here in this segment of the show. And don't have anything to talk about as far as nxtbets.com/playhlr unless, Brian, you have the odds from the weekend. Of course, our two winners, our winners being Rico Abreu, and he's usually the favorite everywhere we go. So probably wasn't a whole lot of money to be made this weekend, even if you had Rico both nights.
No, there was not. Rico was plus 185 on Friday night. On Saturday, he was plus 188. His odds actually went up after winning Friday. Yeah, so you could have got a little maybe extra a couple cents in your pocket if you doubled down on him Saturday. But yeah, that's you'll have that when arguably the best driver of the season sweeps the season finale.
Yeah, 2 straight wins for Rico, and he does it under pressure. On Friday night, Tony, that might have been, I think Friday night was the even more impressive performance than what happened on Saturday. Going in, he was just 9 points ahead of the RSR 87 and 28 ahead of Brad Sweet. And we know that Reitzel and Brad are both very good at Texas. Reitzel's won a couple Power Eye shows there, was good with Highland earlier this year, and Brad won a Texas race last year. And so for Rico, Brian, I think your headline was like Nerves of Steel or something like, or Clutch Gene actually was what it was. That was a very impressive race from Rico, even though he'd won, 10, 11, 12 other shows this year. I felt like that was one of his more impressive performances of the season.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And okay, so there's the mental side of it, right? With like knowing that he's got to go in there and run well. You pull up his stat line, at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track, a 7th, a 13th, a 6th, and a 6th. I'm sorry, a 6th and an 8th. That 8th place run came on our first race back in the spring this year in May. But then it was a win 2 nights later because we took Friday night off. And then, so he wins on the second night of our show there in the spring, and then a win on night 1 of the fall weekend and a win on night 2 of the Bikini Zone all-in championship finale. He obviously has the place figured out, but man, you can't understate it. There's a lot of pressure on him going into that weekend. And did they get everything tight on the car? Did they get the setup the way they want? Darren Pittman's back in the field. Brad Sweet's there. Rico Abreu's there. So yeah, huge win for him. And I think it just solidifies that when Rico Abreu needs to lock in and Ricky Warner and Zach and Brady need to lock in, they've shown time and time again they do. And that's why they were champions here in 2025, as well as ending it on back-to-back feature wins.
Yeah, ended up being Rico's 13th win of the year by the time the weekend was over. But still sticking with Friday, Brian, I wanted to talk about briefly how good the track was on Friday, because I think it was maybe Pittman that mentioned, or maybe it was Selzy or something. They said it was the best track they think they've ever seen there at Texas Motor Speedway. Considering there wasn't a huge car count to really get the track widened out, Martin Edwards and everybody there had it figured out. And I would have to agree with the drivers. I mean, we had easily 2 lanes. A couple of guys were working the middle in the feature. The track was very, very good, and that gets me excited for next year. If we, I haven't seen the schedule yet, but hopefully head back to Texas Motor Speedway, because that was just an incredible, race surface there on Friday night.
Yeah, I believe Martin Edwards has been there for every single high limit race we've had since we started going to TMS, and I think each and every time the track gets better too, honestly. I don't know if he does all the Power Eye stuff there. Power Eye is going back there in a couple weeks too, so I'll be watching that one and see how it is then. It was especially at TMS. The last 3 races there, because I know it happened Saturday of the Stockyard Stampede when Rico and Kyle and Brad ran through traffic, have gone green to checkered. So like the battles in traffic have been really exciting to watch. Even on Saturday night, like Saturday was kind of the more closely contested race, just because Rico led all 30, but Darren especially, so maybe maybe Rico kind of checked out with like maybe 7 or 8 to go, I think 6, 7. But it was a really good battle, like with Darren and Brad following Rico through traffic, and just how tight things got there, especially considering the rain we got on Saturday. There was a decent amount of worry that we were going to rain out the season finale with like the deluge of monsoon we got around like 2:00 that afternoon. So even Saturday night, how good the track was very impressive. So kudos to Martin and everyone involved in making the TMS dirt track what it was. Zimmerer Kubota too. Those Kubotas helped to do that.
Ooh, sponsor plug.
Wow. Look at Brian with the sponsors. Also wanted to say thanks to Bikini Zone for doing the All-In Championship weekend with us as well. Those cowboy hats were pretty fun. The rain came down, and it was funny because Tyler Courtney in his 10th race as an announcer, he already got the announcer's jinx. He said on Friday, man, it hasn't rained here since September. And then, of course, it rained a lot on Saturday, so he got a taste of that. But you mentioned Pittman there in your little spiel there. And Tony, we harped on it quite a bit over the weekend. Absolutely unbelievable that he, for 4 races in a row at Texas in October, starts on the pole of the feature and runs second. He didn't lead any laps on Saturday, but he runs second 4 races in a row in October at Texas Motor Speedway and starts on the pole of all of them. He is going to get a Highland Racing win by the time he calls it a full-blown, I'm fully retired type of deal. Obviously, he's still running 15, 20 races, but I think that he'll get one, and it's more than likely going to happen there at Texas. It's just can't seem to put it all together here when we show up down there in Fort Worth.
Yeah, so I agree with you, first of all, Chase, about, it's crazy when you look at the stat line. It's wild how it's gone down. But I don't know if I completely agree with the, putting it all together, because, and, it depends on just how you want to take this. Some people might take it as like a diss. I hope people take it as a compliment. In his post-race interview on Friday, Darren talked about I don't know what else we could have done. He talked about Don Kreitz Jr. was going to get to sleep on it, as far as thinking about the setup. And Darren talked about, I'll replay that race tonight and watch it and look at what I could have done. But I really think they show up there. And of course, nobody in the pits ever really truly tells you if they've got it totally figured out or if they're way off. Nobody wants to show their hand too much. But I just feel like Darren and the Kreitz car and everybody in that pit area, who is so much fun to talk to. I had a great time hanging out with them Saturday before the final race. It would have been Friday before the second to last race. I think they are right there, and they'll just come clean and admit it to you. They're racing against guys who do this full time every weekend, night after night after night. And there's going to be something lost in translation right there as far as being able to maintain speed through a whole night. I agree with Brian. I thought the Saturday night race was way more, interesting, because Pittman did such a good job of hanging with Rico And a lot of that comes from getting to be the guy to follow somebody and manage. Hey, am I running this corner right? Am I getting off this straightaway right? And, so yeah, I don't know. I think the 69K in Pittman, you know, they're pretty much hitting the bullseye every night. We see that. They're qualifying up front. They're in the dash. They're starting on the front row, if not the pole. And then they finish second every single time. Darren said it. You know, Don said it Saturday night before the feature. These guys are just really, really good. So I don't know. It'll be crazy to see if the trend continues, but I sure hope they keep showing up to run and race with us.
Yeah, me too. We'll see how many they do end up coming to next year. But, you know, to kind of put a bow tie here on the Texas Motor Speedway weekend, obviously Saturday night was a $50,000 to win race, and Rico with the walk-off win. You know, it finally happens. You know, Brad Sweet, 6 years in a row, been the dominant force in sprint car racing when it comes to championship status. 5 in a row with the Outlaws, 1 with Highland last year to make it 6 in a row. And, you know, Rico, he ends up winning the championship by 49 in the driver points and 45 in the owner's points. And, I mean, like we said earlier, nerves of steel, Brian. He comes in, he's got the clutch gene, he makes it happen. And, it was, I mean, the crowd, you know, speaking of the crowd, there's a lot of people, hey, where are all the people at? Well, I forget, you seem to forget that this place seats 10,000 people, you know, and it's October. I thought we had a very good crowd. I want to say it was like 4,000 people showed up to watch this finale. And it seemed like almost all of them went into the infield and were kind of up along the banners there, in victory lane, cheer, you know, with the Rico chant and everything going on. It was a really cool victory lane down there, and you could see just how emotional Rico was for that championship win, Brian. After, you know, he's only been doing it for 2 years, and he gets it done in year 2, to beat Brad Sweet, especially after being 297 points behind last year. To go from that to winning it by 45 points, very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm surprised because I went back and watched this morning on March 11th, the High Limit Room. I believe I told you and Tony this would happen. So, but yeah, he drove his ass off all year long, and I think I rewatched it and I mentioned it, which I think is totally true. Is he got hurt in Australia right before we went down there for High Limit International, and I think that injury just completely changed his mindset, his attitude. He turned into a new person going into 2025 after that happened, and I think you saw it with his performance on the racetrack, his you know, mentality off the track too, working on himself as a person and his body. So it's one of the most well-deserved championships, I think, in a very long time too. And to do it over Brad Sweet, and just literally you saw with Brad retiring, like Rico Abreu ended the Brad Sweet reign, like 6 straight national championships. He'll always be the guy that stopped Brad and KKR in their dominant stretch. And yeah, like you said, it was cool. Like it felt like Chili Bowl a little bit 10 years ago. And at one point during his interview with Tony, the Rico chants start breaking out, and all the fans in the infield. It was awesome to see. Like right when he got down and was talking to Tony at first, and he was getting a little emotional. Like the roar of the crowd was so cool. And you know, I mean, that you'll have that when the most popular driver in the sport, you know, accomplishes something so huge.
Yeah, undeniably, he is the most popular driver, and now he is a champion of a national tour. So let's now kind of transition in here to the Banquet, which was once again a smashing success. A lot of people, I was told, you know, watched on FloRacing, whether it was on FloRacing.com, the YouTube page, the Facebook page, whatever it was. A lot of people watched the Banquet, especially after last year. And once again, I mean, it was a great time. That Tannehill's Tavern, a fantastic place to have it. We appreciate their hospitality and Kendra Jacobs putting everything together to make that Banquet what it was. But Tony, just kind of give some of your thoughts on the Banquet. Obviously, we got to hear from all 13 teams / drivers in their season. You know, we started off with a bang with Danny Sams getting the confetti flying, you know, celebrating his Whiskey Myers victory lane, from Bridgeport. You know, that was cool. And his girlfriend with their video from, being out there deployed, in the Middle East. So just give us some of your, you know, maybe one of your favorite parts of the Banquet from last night.
Yeah, I thought, you know, I joked about it. I think it was always guys that teams and cars that you ended up introducing as we went odds. You had 1, 3, 5, 7. I had 2, 4, 6, 8 in the finishing positions. you introduced the Jason Myers Racing 14, and that's Shane Bowers. And then you introduced Tanner Thorson and Britton in the number 88. And those guys right there, they'll joke with you. They'll be kind of serious. They are not big talkers. They don't really live for the camera, for the microphone. And Justin Peck also, he was another one. They all come up and I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to say a lot. I'm going to be 15. I'm going to be 20 seconds. And pretty much all of them talked right up to their limit, or just a little bit short, or just a little bit over. And that's okay, because we want to hear from those guys. And Justin and Tanner both joked and said, what Thorson say, his speech was fueled by Coors Light, and Justin Peck says his was fueled by Miller Lite. I don't know if Shane Bowers was drinking. I don't know if he even does drink. But the point is, it's so cool to go to those things and see everybody dressed up, see everybody in very different circumstances. But here are these guys, maybe they're a little lubed up, but they get up, they talk, they share stories, they tell you about their year, they get a little emotional, and that is why that banquet is the best one I've ever been to in all the years I've spent in racing. It lets people let their hair down a little bit or put a cowboy hat on. It's a really fun night. I love the High Limit Banquet every single year. It's a good time.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of emotion in the room, especially for some of those rookie guys that made it throughout the entire year. Brian, we'll hear from you. You guys were hanging out at the officials table inside the gate, because you guys were inside that gate, and this year you kind of, you toned it down a little bit after being pretty wild last year. We were told to kind of tone it down a little bit, but it was still a fun night, I'm sure, as a person that was in the crowd. Tony and I were up there on stage, and can't see everything, but what did you think of it from being out there in the crowd and taking the banquet in?
My favorite moment would have been Dason Pursley subtweeting, calling me and Anthony Carini bullies. That was really nice. We picked up what he was putting down, Tony.
Why would he say that, Brian?
I can't figure out why.
That's crazy.
I don't know what's going on with Dason.
I don't get that.
Neither do I. But no, first and foremost, like you said, Chase, shout out to Kendra Jacobs. That banquet is like months and months of planning for her. And I know it's very stressful, but all the hard work is worth it, because I think every single person there had an amazing time. We sang our hearts out at the after party, and then we danced our hearts out at the post party at the basement bar. So that was awesome. Chase, I know me and Tony sang "Should Have Been a Cowboy" with Brad. Anthony did his world renowned rendition of "Suds in the Bucket." Kenny did his foot joke on stage. I believe, I don't recall you getting on stage to sing karaoke. Oh, we did?
Yeah,
what did you sing?
You must have been in the bathroom or something. It was
In
me,
Color.
Jake, and Mitch. We did In Color, Jamie.
Yeah, that was like the second time the thing is, TJ Nichols did like 19 songs.
Yeah.
The guy's never seen a microphone he's allergic to. So he did that at the start of the night, and then I think I heard In Color come on again, and I was like, oh God, and ran away.
I have almost the whole version of Mitch and Jake and Chase doing In Color.
I'm sure it's actually Jake and Mitch singing in Chase.
No.
Color.
There's video evidence. There's video evidence.
I'll get it to Tyler McKim and Tyler Burnett. It'll probably be on this show and the opening broadcast next year. No problem. Don't worry about it. No dramas, as they say.
No dramas.
No dramas. That's what they say down in Australia.
Hey, I don't know why that made me think of it, but we had the Rico chant going, like, and the post party and the after party. That was impressive.
Yeah, the Rico chant goes everywhere.
I think Chase wasn't there for the second Rico chant. That was around 2 a.m.
I'm afraid that Chase left a little early. I lost you at the basement bar there, Chase, but we ended up seeing quite a bit of skin.
We did a lot.
And it wasn't the kind of skin you want to see, unfortunately.
You remember singing Iris by Goo Goo Dolls at the top of our lungs?
Oh, I got video of it, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I checked out at 1:15 or something, maybe.
I told Carini the other night, I said that was one of the most like fun nights of my life. Like not just in racing, like that was in everything from the happy hour to all the way at the end.
The folks that run security at the basement bar in the Fort Worth Stockyards now know Ron from the
Ron Burley.
Yeah, now they know Ron from the 7BC pretty well, because they had to have a conversation with him about being fully clothed inside the basement bar. And then Taylor Courtney Moonshine brother to your co-broadcaster, Chase, Tyler Courtney, Taylor never lost the shirt completely, but it was completely open, and there was a lot going on up there on stage. You really left too soon at the basement. You should have hung out.
Me and TJ Nichols also got told we stand on too many elevated surfaces, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned the security there at Basement Bar. They weren't too serious. I walked right by the guy with like one of those giant Michelob Ultras from Tannehill's Tavern, and he just didn't even care.
Dude, I walked inside with Giovanni Scelzi's helmet on my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a lot of helmets there too. There was like a showgirls, like they were doing the kicking dance. There was like 3 of them on the stage with the helmets on.
Kick line.
Kick line, yeah. They had the kick line going up on the stage.
Welcome to the stockyards.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So, they need to update the security, I think, at Basement Bar, but it was still a good time. One other thing that we need to mention here, or at least 2 other things, but one for sure, is during that banquet, of course, Brad Sweet ends up calling it a full-time career. Some of us kind of knew, that this was maybe going to happen. Wasn't 100% sure if it was going to happen, but it did. And obviously a very emotional speech from Brad Sweet. Emotional speech as well from Casey Kane. But Brad Sweet, after, 92 World of Outlaws wins, 10th on the all-time wins list with them, 14, 15 Highland Racing victories, almost 900 starts against the Outlaws. He calls it a career. He's been doing it a long time now. He's got a lot of other things on his plate with High Limit and NARC and Silver Dollar Speedway, and wants to spend time with his family. But that was, I don't know if there was a dry eye in the house, when he started talking there. Tony and I were on the stage, Brian, and it feel like there was a lot of, sadness out there in the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he got 2 different standing ovations throughout obviously when he first went up and kind of announced it, and then by the end of it when the video we had made played for him. I agree. It was I shed a tear when Savvy walked up there, and I mean, I didn't even see it at first, but then I rewatched it later, and like Savvy's just bawling, trying to comfort her dad. That'll bring a tear to anyone. I was next to Ashley Hess, which she worked Brad Sweet's merch trailer for several years before she became an official with us. So like there was definitely a lot of emotion. And then I saw in the banquet video, Rachel was in the crowd, and Kendra, and yeah, it was a pretty emotional deal. It's a big deal. I think like one stat that says it all is like in the history of sprint car racing, there are 2 guys that have more national championships than Brad Sweet, and it's Steve Kinser and Donnie Schatz. Like, and Brad won all 6 of his consecutively, and it's been such a dominant decade for him, really. I mean, he mentioned it in his speech, like Casey Kane hired a kid that was unproven 18 years ago, and they went on this incredible run. And, Brad turned into a wing sprint car driver and then molded himself. Like, I think he says it all the time. Like, Kyle Larson has God-given talent. Brad Sweet had to work his ass off to become everything that he is. And, I think that's just really what Brad Sweet is. And, I'm very excited to see what, he does with all this extra time on his hand. I tweeted it, like, all of us were there. I hated watching Brad Sweet win all the time when I worked for the Outlaws. It was annoying. Like, Carini always tell me he saw Donnie Schatz win 30 races, and it was the same story every night. Like, for me, Brad Sweet was that guy. I watched Brad win night in and night out, and he did it in the most boring fashion sometimes. And I didn't like watching the 49 win. And then, he hired me to work for High Limit, and my perspective completely changed on him. He's, I think, like you both will agree, an incredible leader that most people don't even realize just from where their seats in the stands. And it'll be very interesting to see what he does with all this time on his hands with High Limit, NARC, Chico, and the future of the sport.
Yeah, this stat line here, 895 Outlaw starts, 92 wins, 459 top 5, 693 top 10s, 5 championships with the Outlaws, Knoxville Nationals, 2 Kings Royals. Was close to the National Open as well. An incredible career. Honestly, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. You said 18 years with Casey Kane, and we know that Brad's not done driving all the way. I mean, he's still going to drive, 20. We don't really know the schedule, but I would have to guess maybe 15, 20 races next year. But it is remarkably similar to that of Donnie Schatz. Brad Sweet ran for Casey Kane, NASCAR superstar in the heyday. Donnie Schatz ran for Tony Stewart, NASCAR star in the heyday. 18 years, I believe, was what Donnie Schatz was with, Tony Stewart before everything went sideways with them. And obviously it didn't end the same for Brad, but, they both won multiple championships with that car owner. They both won multiple crown jewels with that car owner. And now, Brad's going to be taking a step back here, Tony, but, like Brian said, he's a great leader, very interested to see what the future looks like for High Limit, for NARC, all this stuff that he is going to be taking over here and putting his full focus into that, as opposed to what he's been doing here for the last 2 years or so and putting, some focus here, some focus here, some focus over here, a little bit over here. He's got a lot of eggs in one or in a lot of different baskets, and now he'll be able to, put a lot of his focus on some of these things, and I think it's only going to be good for the sport.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I think that Brad is a much bigger good for sprint car racing than a lot of people who just don't like that he wins all the time wants to think. That's the thing you learn in this job. Once you get to hang out with Donnie Schatz and his family and you spend time with him, you realize he's not the asshole that everybody wants you to think that he is. And once you get to spend time with Brad and his family and you see how he does stuff, he's not the brat or some spoiled guy that everybody who doesn't like him wants to think that he is. I just want to tell some insider baseball here really quick about how everything went down on Sunday night at Tannehill's and I think why things were so emotional. So you're up there, Chase, on stage at the podium reading your introduction for Brad. And so there's a ton going on backstage during the banquet, and a lot of it is on Kendra Jacobs' shoulders, and she translates stuff to Tyler McKim, Chase Yu, myself, Chad Warner doing photographies back there. Mike Hess is presenting awards. He's involved. So pretty much like Brian said, a lot of us knew that this was a strong possibility that Brad would probably announce that he was going to step away from full-time competition, but nobody knew for certain. In fact, it was so up in the air that probably within like the 5th or 4th place introduction, Brad's third, within like the 6th or 5th or 4th place introduction, Kendra is off stage telling me while you're introducing somebody, hey, there's a chance Brad might, change his mind. Brad might not do this. So that video that Flo made to play just in case he announces his retirement, be ready, because we might not be playing that. We can't play that if he doesn't announce it, right? That'd be awkward as shit. So we're all on like high alert, like don't play it, maybe play it, watch what he says, listen to him. And then they come back there behind stage. You're introducing him. His intro video plays and Brad's making his way up to the stage. Kendra grabs me and goes, Brad just told Casey that he's going to announce it. Brad just told Casey his decision. Casey had no idea. Casey's going to come up and speak after Brad. Wait to play the video till after Casey's done speaking. So to all sources that I'm aware of, and in the moment live as it happened, Casey Kane wasn't even aware this was going to happen. That's how long Brad was thinking about this. That's how heavy it was on Brad's heart, that it came down to the actual like final minutes before he stepped up on stage. And that's why I think you saw it hit Brad so hard. Because Brian, I mean, you were out there the second Brad leaned into talking about the fact he was going to retire full time. I mean, he just broke down, right? He couldn't get through it. And he joked afterwards. He was super embarrassed. But like, it's because it was literally happening in that moment, not just to all of us, but to him as well. He was finally realizing it as the words came out. Oh, I'm done being a full-time sprint car racer. This massive part of my life that everyone in the world knows me for is over. So that part to me was crazy, that it all happened in the span of maybe 45 seconds to like 2 minutes, that everybody found out together. So that's just one more reason to make sure you're at Tannehill's or you're watching the Kubota High Limit Championship celebration live on Flow, because Chase, you just never know what'll happen down in Texas.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can keep that part in this show. I don't see why we couldn't, because that news, when, we were talking about before we went live here on this podcast that, Casey did not know that was going to be happening, which is just mind blowing. Because, I think all three of us kind of had an idea that it could be happening. And maybe Casey did too, but he didn't know that it was fully going to happen until it, pretty much did. So, that is just crazy to me that it was able to stay that secretive for that long up until the very last, moment of the season. One thing left on Brad I wanted to mention and get Brian's opinion on here. We know, like we said earlier, we know he's going to race a little bit more. Brian, do you think at this point in time that Brad Sweet will run the Gold Cup at least one more time to try and win that race, because he's never been able to win it? Obviously, he's the promoter of the race now. His first ever World of Outlaws, attempt to start a main event was at Silver Dollar Speedway. That race means a lot to him. Do you think we see Brad Sweet run the Gold Cup next year and maybe for the next couple of years?
That's a good question, and I don't know. I lean both ways. Like, I want to say absolutely yes, because I know how bad he does want to win it. And I mean, he's won Knoxville Nationals, Kings Royal. He never won the National Open, but I mean, I can tell you for a fact that the Gold Cup is the number one list on his bucket list of races that he wants to win. But at the same time, since SLC has taken over Chico, his level of care for just the event, that week, I mean, you guys know, we all know ourselves, the amount that him and Rachel put into the Gold Cup Race of Champions and how serious he is on elevating that back to the national stage. And I think we're well on the way. Almost trumps how bad he wants to win. So I don't really know. I mean, I'd probably say yes, at least one more time, if not several more. But, yeah, I want to say he'll run again. At some point he's got to win, right?
You know what I could see happening is him taking a year off coming up in 26 to really just dive in and be promoter Brad, and keep Rachel from breaking his neck when he gets to go play race car driver and she has to handle everything.
Brad being a promoter might be what makes Rachel want to break his neck more.
Maybe, perhaps, but then we could sell tickets to that on the front straightaway. But I could totally see Brad being like, hey, I want to take a year or two and be on the tractor. We know he likes to be on the water truck, and be in the ticket counter, be in the concession stand, bagging up popcorn, getting that event to a little bit closer to what he wants. And then maybe you see him get back behind the wheel in a year or two. I don't know. I don't think that'd be that far out of this, out of the question of seeing him be promoter and racer over the next 5 years.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening as well. But congrats, Brad Sweet, on an incredible career, and not fully retired. We want to keep that out there. He's just not racing for full time for next year. But congrats, Brad. Incredible stuff that you've been able to accomplish over the last 18 years, not only with the Outlaws and Highland, but USAC as well. Well, before we finish this show up, there was a big announcement yesterday as well. Not really much to do with High Limit, but as we do normally here on the show, we like to talk about things that happen in the sprint car world, because we're fans of the sprint car world. Not Brad Sweet, but Spencer Bayston was able to secure a deal for 2026, driving for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the Clausen Stenhouse Marshall Jr. racing team, the 17 that Sheldon Hodenshield has been in for the last 7-8 years. And so Spencer's going to run next year full-time with the Outlaws after running full-time or semi-full-time, I guess, this year, and full-time last year with High Limit. So great to see Spencer get that opportunity. I think I've said it many times on my own YouTube channel that Spencer Bayston did not forget how to drive a sprint car. We saw how he almost just won the Trophy Cup. He almost won that $83,000 Outlaw show as well at Tulare. And so I am very excited for Spencer. I hope that good things come for him next year. I think it's going to be a great year. He's got, kind of a up on the rising crew chief here with Kyle Pruitt as well for next year. So, Brian, you're really good friends with Spencer, so I'm sure that you've been talking to him a little bit, and he's got to be pretty excited for getting under. Well, actually, they're going to actually have a race. They're going to run World Finals, I think, to get things going.
Yeah, they're running World Finals in a second car. It'll be Sheldon and Spencer down there in Charlotte that week with the 17s. I guess Spencer will probably be like 17 junior. But yeah, I'm pumped and bummed. Obviously, they're probably two of my best friends in the world, Spencer and Audrey. So I won't be seeing much of them. I said two of, Tony. Calm down.
What about
I
Chase
said two
and
of.
That's crazy.
I said two of. But that's a very well deserved. Like you said, Spencer's one of the. He's one of the best guys. As much as some people don't want to admit it, like you said, he doesn't forget how to drive a sprint car. I think he's proved it. He's been on a bit of a mission since mid-August this year, getting let go at JMR, and he's performed incredibly well in the W with Paul Silva, in the 21 with Drew Warner, and I expect him to perform quite well at Charlotte with Kyle Pruitt on the wrenches. And then going into next year, it'll be exciting to see what they do together with the Outlaws. Yeah,
it does suck that we're not going to have Spencer on the high limit side of things. We always enjoy having him and talking to him, and the other big part of this is he's got to be a NOS energy drink guy, which for a sponsor, I can't think of a better guy to be a spokesperson for my brand than Spencer. He's a company man. I feel like he really hammers home the sponsors and does a good job at that as well. But Tony, we'll just get your thoughts on that big move. That was a big silly season domino that needed to fall, and now it has. And so we know where that car is going, with who for next year. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm like Brian, right? Spencer, I'm very fortunate to have gotten to know Spencer and Audrey over the last couple of years. When I was doing video stuff at the Outlaws, I got to go out and make that was when he was at High Limit, when we were both at High Limit. I've gotten to spend time making videos for Spencer when he was sponsored by True Timber Camouflage. Brian, again, to your point, Chase, to your point, he's a sponsor's dream. He does a great job at activating for his brands that partner with him. I got to go out and make a video of him getting his first ever spring turkey with Nathan Isaacson up in north central Kansas. And then Spencer the next year, this spring, he didn't even draw a tag for out-of-state hunters. I did, and he still came up and got up at 4 a.m. and was out in the field with us at 5 just because he wanted to be there with me while I hunted my first spring turkey in the same fields that he hunted his. So I'm a massive Spencer Bayston fan. I'm very fortunate to have gotten to know him. I am bummed out, like Brian, about him not being a high roller. I think Spencer is definitely a guy that fits in the high limit pit area. I talked about on the Banquet, drivers and teams come and race with us who maybe aren't full timers and go, this pit area is just fun. This is actually like a relaxed pit area. This is nice to be in. Jacob Allen stopped and told me that last year when he was a full timer about just how different the two series felt and how it was just, a younger pit area. It felt more fun. And so I think Spencer's going to miss that. I know that he can't say that, but I'm going to bet you that he can, or that he will miss it. And we're going to miss him. So I wish him all the best of luck. I'm sure they'll sneak over and run their 1 or 2 races a year they get to do. 4. And it'll be fun to have him back around a few times. And I know he'll be watching live on Flow. It'll be tough to not have him in the pit area though.
Yeah. Good luck.
Hey, Speaking of breaking news, this airs tomorrow night, right, Chase? Right around normally?
No, it'll be tonight. It'll come out tonight.
Oh, tonight? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't say it. A little bit of Adam Schefter. We might have some breaking news coming soon.
You dyeing your hair?
Message. No. I'm talking about drivers, Tony.
Oh
boy. Well,
yeah.
We need to end this show immediately so Brian Walker can fill us in.
I do have a phone call I need to make.
Okay. Well, we'll wrap this thing up. Yeah, I know, big time over here.
Tony, you have a flight to catch. You're so big time that the high limit season ends and you immediately get another job to leave us.
Here's the deal. I pushed my flight back so I could be on this show and not worry Tyler Burnett about internet at the airport during my layover in Baltimore, because I was supposed to be on the ground in Baltimore by now. But I said, no, I will delay my flight plans as I head east to announce the second running of Mazda MX-5 Cup on the historic NASCAR Oval at the Martinsville Speedway. I will push those plans back to be on this show with reliable internet. You're welcome.
Wow. It doesn't get much more big time than that.
Mazda MX-5. I used to run those cars on iRacing at Okayama Speedway.
I'll be working with Matt Yoakum, a friend of Chase Rodman's.
Yeah, we used to work together as well. So that is big. So, well, Tony, good luck with that. Hopefully you have a fun time over there in Martinsville. And Brian, good luck with that phone call. And also thank you to every single person. We're not done. We're going to have at least one more Highland Room episode come out next week to recap the season that was. We appreciate each and every one of you for watching this show every week. We really do appreciate it. We'll bring it back again next year and do it all over again. But that's all we've got for this week's episode. Tony Laporta, Brian Walker, my name is Chase Rodman. We'll talk to you guys next week.